Yep. Welcome and good night. You are uh, in tune to the conversation. Each and every Tuesday night, we have it from around 7:30, all the way to just after 10. That's because, of course, we've got three hosts that are busybodies, very busy on the job, also trying to make other things happen. Um, of course, I am Malachi and Selector Sherwin. But before we get into tonight's conversation, which is going to be, we're going to touch on several topics this evening. But before we do, Selector Sherwin, good evening, bro.
Yes, sir. Good night to you.
Yep,
Yeah,
good night.
definitely. Good night to everyone. I hope you guys had a great 2 weeks because we missed last week. So
Yep, yep.
I got to make sure we give you that shout out and
Apologies, yeah.
apologize
Apologize
also
for that.
for
Yep,
last
yep,
week. All right.
yep.
So we got to make sure that we clear the ear before we get into the conversation today. All right. The views, information, or opinion expressed during this program are solely those of the host, guests, and callers involved in the program and do not necessarily present the views of Majestic Music Radio, its management, and other hosts or advertisers. Majestic Music is not responsible and do not verify for accuracy of any of the information contained in this radio program. This program does not constitute medical or professional advice and is solely for entertainment purpose only.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ear is clear, so we can have a conversation.
yeah. The ear is clear. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I hope you guys had a great 2 weeks. I know we passed uh a beautiful week that is the mothers are being recognized worldwide,
Yeah,
Mother's
yeah.
Day.
Mother's Day.
Even though we should be having and showing our mothers love every day, but set aside that day especially to give her an extra treat. At the same time, I think they said is a day set aside for commercial good commercial profit on the outside because
They
that's
say the
one of the
money
days
can be.
like a man was saying when you look in the burial ground, right? Just to
Hmm.
say, but it's like a joke. It came up like a joke, which is at the same time you want to be say sorry for all that lost their mom, but he said it looks like a park day. I mean, everybody's in the ground on that day, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
when it comes to Father's Day, you ain't got
Mm-mm.
them kind of you ain't got them kind of effects. You know what I mean? But big shout out to
No.
the mothers. I mean, most times they are the pillars of the family. They're the ones that stay strong and keep everybody together
Hmm.
while dad is out there tiling hard, and working hard. So
Yeah.
once again, shout out to you mothers.
Hmm. 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 Yep, 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 yep. So tonight we got a couple of interesting topics we want to touch on. Um, one of those topics. Um, let's kind of start it off light. I'm hoping Martin jumps in as soon as possible. One of those topics would be, um, and I think I mentioned it before, um, what goes on social media in Guyana, which really gives an overall projection of the thinking of the individuals in Guyana. And over the past couple of days, there's a crazy thing happening where a young lady made I don't know, well, I didn't see it live, but it had to be a live. And in this live, she was blurting out stuff that she had taken a 13-year-old into the bush, into the Cayuni to be exact, to pick fear, right? And for those people who are not Guyanese, we talking pig fear means to prostitute, right, or to become a prostitute. So when I heard this thing, I was like, I was rather taken back because I was like, wait a minute, um, the Guyana police force is not. Um, they didn't see this live. They didn't. Somebody didn't tag a police, and a police didn't pass this on to a senior officer to say, look at this, because these kind of things um, are crazy. You know, just to be said on social media is next level madness. But for the inaction of you know the Guyana police force to immediately start to investigate, and not only that, they should have these made inquiries. In my estimation, I mean, I heard this young lady is in prison already, but she's got a case pending as soon as she gets out of prison. I don't know why somebody would possibly want to say stuff like that on social media, because I don't know if they know that's incriminating yourself. Um,
Yeah, that's big time.
yeah, that's incriminating yourself big time. And it it just leads you to think, like, what is going on really in the minds of individuals? What's going on in the minds of people in the country? If they would think up these things and actually talk about them on a live or even record it, is crazy, you know. So that's one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about. That was crazy, a very crazy issue. But before we get too far along in it, Sherwin, we have some numbers to some contact information. Of course, you can call us. The number to call us there again is what again, Sherwin?
718-673-2201.
Right.
Seven one
And if you're out of of the US, you just have to put +1 in front of that number, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
718-673-2201. Don't
Right.
know. Call
Yeah.
in, get into the conversation.
Get into the
Let's
conversation.
let's
So
read.
yeah, and we're still waiting for Martin to get in. So in my estimation, that particular issue um, was one of the things that I looked at, and I was like trying to figure out why we as a people behave in this manner. Um, and we've seen a lot of these issues that were kind of puzzling for a while now, I'm sure, including, for example, the whole obia on um, on somebody on live on Facebook Live, and I'm thinking in my head, why would I mean how first thing, um, they should have known that certain ceremonies or practices are not for like in the open, so nobody understands those in the wider world, because
See,
those
the thing
are
is,
like secret.
what's the laws that's governing these type of situation in Guyana? That's the first question you gotta ask. Secondly, um, is it does the police force works with a reaction tactics rather than be proactive in the sense of they they have some kind of uh, a thing where they can actually have a unit that is dealing with strictly social media that is
Well, I would think if you have a cyber act law in place,
okay.
um, that deals with, for example, you can't bully individuals online. You can't use stuff to extort individuals as well online using that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So if those laws are in place, obviously the police should know a bit of what these cyber laws entail. I mean, they wouldn't be totally void of the information. You know,
Right.
they should have a bit of information on the cyber laws. But um, again, if what this young lady was spewing online is factual and it's true, um, I don't even think that there needs to be a report. What I think needs to happen is that the police need to step in and to immediately she needs to be questioned regarding that statement she made online. And if that's so, further investigations along that line should go. If none of what she is saying, because based on another live that the mom of the daughter of the child, sorry, and the lawyer of the mom said, none of that occurred. So it was fictional then, all right, or it was a made up story. So, but in that case, that would be defamation of character of a minor,
Hmm.
all right. So,
You see, that's the thing. You gotta. I don't know. I didn't watch your life, but
mhm,
you know, things gotta go by government name, another call name.
mhm.
Um, things gotta go by what in a sense of most times. I don't know if Guyana have a freedom of speech law. Is there a
No, well,
freedom of speech law?
because we're governed under a proposed democratic system, it is like a given under democracy that obviously they would have freedom of speech. So it's a given basically that we do have freedom of speech, and I haven't seen any curtailing of freedom of speech. Um, I have free speech. I say whatever I feel, and I haven't got any curtailment or anybody coming at me for my free speech. I mean, not that I know of from the government. Um, I know that some
But
of the stuff
I'm sure
that
that,
people are not.
not
Uh,
everything that comes out of your mouth is going to be pleasing
no,
to
but
everyone,
that that
and
that
it might be
that.
somebody in a position that they can say,
Mhm.
you know what, I can take advantage of this situation and you know deal with it in that way. Because
Deal with it.
social
Deal with
media is
it.
kind of funny, you know. It's kind of
Deal with it.
funny.
How though?
But what
Um,
I'm saying is like,
Deal with it.
okay,
How?
they people, when you're in a position of certain way, you could actually carve things to say, you know what, all right, I'm gonna hold you down to investigate what you just said.
Hmm.
It might not be facts. It might not be something, but it's just a punishment. You know what I mean? And
No, but no,
uh,
Sharon. We know in Guyana. We know in Guyana there is the law says that you can be held for 72 hours.
right,
Right? That just you could be held. You could be arrested for 72 hours. All right. After that, though, right? There must be some form of an investigation if any further um, things are going to happen. All right. And this again goes back to what I'm dealing with this situation with the young lady saying this stuff on social media. And I see somebody, Mr. Murray, is saying the Guyana Police Force has a cybercrime unit. And good, that's good. That means this cybercrime unit is looking at some of the stuff that people are saying and doing on social media. Because I've heard several, for example, people come out on social media and say they know about, for example, when they had that case with the guy Izwi before he was caught, right? Um, well, it was Izwi, aka Ishi, or whatever, right? Um, there were people coming out on social media saying that, hey, um, we know that people went to visit this guy in Suriname. We know that, other things that people said on social media. And when I'm looking at this stuff on social media, I'm wondering, I'm wondering if the police force is taking note. Um, Also recording a lot of this stuff that's being said on
Yeah,
social media because, you know, a lot of people come out and say stuff. We don't know why they say it. Um, Maybe they're looking for clout, or maybe they're looking to hold somebody who's listening to what they're saying online, holding them ransom. Because a lot of the times it sounds as though people have information for other people and they're saying stuff in a shaded manner, but it's tantamount to like social media extortion, if you understand what I mean.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying stuff, but I'm not calling your name. But the person who knows what is happening knows, and they're sitting there just waiting for you to call their name, right? But it is a form of social media extortion, or what we have in the cybercrime laws as social media bullying.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
know,
it kind of. I don't know how they treat it, because when I was looking at I think I saw a part of the live between herself and I think it was the lawyer, the
uh-huh.
mom and the lawyer, and
Hmm.
he was actually endorsing that this is a beautiful uh this would be a beautiful thing to capitalize on, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
In order to get or create a movement in order to defame.
You're talking about the lawyer of the mom who was on the live.
Correct.
Yeah.
In order for these things not to happen again. So I
Hmm.
continuously was wondering why he continuously keeps saying it is something to
No,
create a
well,
movement.
obviously, we know that the lawyer representing the mom is also a candidate for the leadership of the opposition party right now. So the why he's saying to capitalize on it is because there's an issue also that they made a report to the police, and the statement from the child was leaked to social media to somebody, and that person posted it on social media. All right. Now,
Okay.
why he would say capitalize on that is because he's looking to gain points politically on the situation between this mom and the daughter, which I really think should not have been the whole objective in what he was doing. But you really can't, you can't stop a politician from politicking. That's what they do.
Well, this is the whole idea of what do you call it? Conflict of interest, in the
Well,
sense of trying to serve in the capacity as a liar instead of trying to serve in the capacity or capitalizing in order to gain points, like you're saying. So if that's so, I think that's not fair on the sense of trying to make sure
but
you
but
clear.
but I'll give you a funny scenario, right? Because I am the type of person, um, based on my experience, right? Um, and that has experiences has taught me to think in a multi-pronged direction when a problem arises or something is confronts you. All right. It may sound paranoid, but if you look at the situation, and I'm talking about the situation with the young lady and the mom and the police and
Yeah.
the leak of this statement, all right? Now, hypothetically, now the opposition party have more of their supporters that are Afro Guyanese that are in the military and in the police force, aren't they?
Mhm.
Now, is it impossible to think of an element that is in the police force that may have again, this is hypothetically, and again, this is multi-pronged thinking, may have colluded or even not colluded, but had done it maliciously, all right, to create a situation where, for example, the 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 present the person vying to be opposition, to be the opposition leader, and is a practicing lawyer, can then jump on that and say, okay, well, this is a very serious thing. We really have to look at this. When in the circumstances as is, it's an isolated case. It's not an everyday scenario where everybody's statements are regularly leaked on Facebook and to the media.
Listen to me. I still believe that it comes back to wisdom, and wisdom always tells me that where it start from is this where it got to cut, and because that's the point of the whole issue, where it started from, and I believe that they can know exactly, because they know exactly who dealt with that issue, who is in the system, when the force is going to know who this whole statement passed through, who was connected to it. They know exactly who they got to deal with. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, I would not even go to because there had to be communication from that individual to say, okay, I got all this ammunition right here. What we could do with it? Let's fix it. So right away, that's the person to deal with. Hammer. Right away, he getting the full hammer. When he or she getting the full hammer, it teaches the lessons for the rest. Now we ain't playing this no more.
Well, I'll tell you this. Most of the stuff that again, and I usually tell people this, that flies around on social media. Don't take it as gospel or as the truth. People come out on social media and say all kinds of stuff. But basically, you have to look at the factual aspects of some of the nonsense that goes on. All right. And if there is a leak of a statement by the police and it gets into the hands of somebody who then posts it on social media, they must have a mechanism within the police force to track that, as you rightfully said, because obviously she had to sit down with an officer to give that statement. All right. If there was a statement given. And then from there, obviously, they had to have signatories as witnesses to this happening. So it couldn't just be an up in the air process, if you understand what I mean.
Yep.
So it couldn't be lost in time or lost in translation, where they couldn't find out who handled that statement and the possibilities of it being leaked. Not unless, and again, this is where you see technology and the advent of the cell phone and what it can do in this time is a big problem, especially for certain, for example, law enforcement and security services. Because if you have, for example, who is to tell if the person who took the statement genuinely took the statement and left it on their desk, they probably went to the bathroom. Another officer came in, took out his cell phone, took a snap of the page, left. All right. Now, while we're installing cameras all over the country to look at traffic and to look at crime, I don't know if anybody has thought of installing cameras to look at the cops or look at the police while they work, while they do their work, to ensure, for example, at the police stations, that when people get into the police stations, how they handle them. What is the conversation like? Because I think that would give the government, or let's say the head of the security department, which would be, I think is under the prime minister, it would give him a lot more information on how to deal with, for example, the interaction with the police force and the public. I don't know if they ever thought about that. Um, I know a lot of police would say, no, we don't. We really don't want no cameras in the station, and those cameras would also have to have audio, so you could see and hear what they're talking about, and that's recorded and put in a police database. I mean, these are some of the things that I don't know if they've thought about them, um, but these are things that should be as a developing nation. This is what should be happening, so we wouldn't have these problems where, for example, we got um, these really um, comical lapses where somebody has the ability to leak somebody else's statement, and that could be, if, for example, if that was in the era where we were having the death squad issues, where the gangs were fighting the gangs, the drug gangs against the drug gangs, you would have had a big issue, because somebody could have gone to the police and made a statement and said, listen, I witnessed a murder, these guys chopped up somebody or whatever, and you can have a leak of that statement to the gang.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a. I think there is a. From what I'm hearing, I don't want to put a nail on it.
Mm-hmm.
That there's some work being done right now in order to upgrade the
Mm-hmm.
police in the sense of um, their their responsibilities and also accountability to everything that they deal with and how they deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, we know one of the greatest things that technology ever did, especially for today's policing in the developing world, is
Yeah.
body cam.
The
Body
body cam.
cam. And if you cannot make sure your body cam working, and there's a problem. Like we notice, there's always a single traffic police, sometimes doing work by himself
Yeah.
on a regular day. There is no way that if you doing policing, most time it
It's a
is
double.
always have to be with a partner
Yeah, it's a double. I mean, even
because
the beat police that take the pavement or walk the pavements always.
in these situations is where when it comes to even a police, you got family, you know what I mean, and even to their safety, the other man, one man in danger, the other man could run, and he could actually
Call for backup.
secure some kind of help or
Yeah.
call for backup.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing I don't understand it. It comes with all them kind of fancy stuff, and is the police words against the civilian word, and
Yeah.
there's nothing to show that we are making sure that you gotta show us. Or if you didn't put on your camera, you got to tell me why you didn't put on your camera. You in the wrong right away,
Yep.
because you got to make sure that that camera is working
Mm-hmm.
as you're actually approaching. They
Yep.
don't want that. I mean, we know that. We know for many reasons why, how things be running. But
Yeah. I mean,
and because of because of development and how they're trying to run into the fast pace, as is being mentioned, you have to consider. I don't care how y'all think about it no more. This is what has to happen because we have nationals and people coming from over out of Guyana coming in this country. We need to get y'all gotta be
yeah.
uncomfortable for
Yeah.
whatever.
We need to. Yeah. Look, one of the things I'll show you something that we don't know in Ghana. Let's say you're in a club, right, in Ghana. A bouncer, or what we call a chokoro, is not the is we our impression of a bouncer is somebody who, if anything happens or somebody is a little unruly, his job is to beat the hell out of the
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
All right. No, they don't even understand that that's not the protocol. That's not the rule. That's not what a bouncer is there for. If that person could not control themselves, or as we say in Ghana, you can't hold your liquor, you start to behave bad. The bouncer, or what we call the chokoro job, is to escort that individual outside of the club or the bar, unharmed, all right? Because of course that person has rights as well, all right? Not because they may be inebriated, that means they could be treated anyhow,
Yeah.
all right? So those, you see, these are some of like basic rules. Because if we have, for example, we want to have cricket carnival, then there's carnival and mash and all these events, all the big shows coming to Guyana. We have to understand that not only do we need to upgrade the development of the police force, but we also have to involve, I think, private entities to help. Because a lot of it now is not just about having police with a show of force on the ground with uniforms and guns, but you also need to master the most important part of it, which is the intelligence. All right, you need to master that part of it, because once you master that part of it, having the show of force is not even really necessary. Because in some cases, in some countries I've gone to, you don't even see the show of force,
Mm-hmm.
but they're there. They're there watching you in the slide. You know, they're watching you. They're monitoring everybody on the streets and stuff like that. So we have to get to that um, um, level in terms of how we think about security. For example, I look, Christmas times I will see, for example, in Ghana, they'll put up a wooden box thing for a police officer to stand up on a corner to monitor a corner. And I was like, why didn't they just get a big white van that could maybe hold like 8 or 9 people, and you put cameras on the top of that van so you could monitor in 360 the entire four corner. Let's say you're on Camp Street or wherever. You park not too far from the corner where you can monitor all four corners. And the police officers are inside, and they're paying attention to the outside and the crowd. And they're always ready for in case something happens. Because remember, that is a busy business area in Georgetown, right? If something happens, they can deploy themselves very easily to neutralize whatever problem there is. That's the way we need to be thinking. Not, okay, we drive around in an open back vehicle and I got 2, 3 police got their foot kicked over the side of the vehicle. One got a Kalashnikov, a AK-47, a M16. It doesn't look nice, especially for tourists coming into a country. It looks like, what the hell is going on here? They got civil war? I mean, seriously, that's how it looks. It look like it got some sort of civil disturbance or unrest or something going on. You know what I mean? So we really have to think it's like next level. All right? We need to think next level and not petite, I should say. You gotta come out of the petite thinking and think grande boca. You know what I mean? You gotta think different. But that's what I gotta say about the whole
But this
security.
is the thing. The thing is all. I mean, we. For me as youth man, I know that you see the first thing you learn, you see, especially you see certain cops coming, or you see a certain van coming,
Yeah.
or you see, it's like, yo, this is a 50-50 chance that you're gonna pull up. And if this pull up here is either gonna go somewhere, it's gonna go either left or right. It's either that man for no reason. Sometimes that man's asks you some dumb questions. You
Wow.
can't answer them, or you just get annoyed and say, "Why the reason you asking me these questions?" And they will book you for that as a part of the punishment. Got you sitting there for no reason.
For no reason to waste your time.
They're
You see,
going all over the place, and
You
then you
see?
ask the question. Somebody might ask the question, "Why you here?" I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, next we're gonna come out. Oh, this is how I was to put him to sit there. He said that when he come back, he can deal with
You
him.
can deal with them.
And these things is like I tell you, anybody, the system. I mean, I don't know what it is now. I been around when I was youth man. I know for sure I gotta go in by the police step and watching me bridging and say, "This what you do, man? Me do nothing, whatever. But you just trying. Yeah, I better go if I put y'all in there too.
I'll tell
You
you
know what
one
I
of the
mean?
things. I'll tell you one of the things that we need to check and get that checked immediately. If you're gonna have people come into Guyana and they for example, they drive on an international driver's license, they come into Guyana. Of course, the law says you've got a certain time. Of course, you got to check in with GRA and get a permit that says you have the permit to drive. But you're going to be driving on the roads of Guyana. Let's say the police stops them, right? Now, first thing anybody who drives outside of Guyana is going to ask the police officer is, why have you stopped me?
Yeah,
What is my infraction?
that's
That's the
that's the
first.
natural. That's the natural way of any way.
Exactly.
Why you stop me?
Why are you stopping me?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? All right. Now, in Guyana,
Police can tell you, you stay right there. You're gonna do it just now. This time
from,
he got
from the
ticket.
time you ask a question,
There's no.
the officer can tell you, all right, you wait right here. I can deal with you just now. He
And
can
get
leave it
you on a
all in
long
the car.
way to pressure
And you
you.
sit
When
right,
everybody gone, they're
right.
trying to steam in on you to say, well, what's going on? Trying to form a conversation into how we gonna deal with this thing here. This time you ain't got no clue what you did or what you doing. You know what I mean? Not trying to don't talk or don't press the system, but I'm saying the guys away from the whole what they might be feeling as though, okay, we get things control. I talk to these guys, they're supposed to be out there doing the right thing. It's a different scenario when you're out there, when the man out there dealing
Yeah,
sometimes with situations.
yeah. It's funny. It's funny, and I think we need to look at these things, um, make the necessary adjustments as quickly as possible
What is
because
it? They got a slogan for the police forcing it,
um, like a positioning statement that
Yeah.
says the Guyana Police Force da da da. I don't know about it, brother.
Like
I haven't.
for over here,
Protect us,
the
protect and
NYPD, I
serve,
know serve and protect,
serve and protect. Yeah,
right? I still don't. I think is I don't know if sometimes these guys don't understand how much it would be so cute to know that somebody could pull up and be like, sir, I'm lost.
Mhm.
I don't know. Can have a conversation to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
Who's this man now? He trying to have a conversation with one guy. Then the other one can shouting from a distance, who's this? Who's the man? Who you are? And it just went, everything just went left.
yeah. Everything goes left immediately. Everything just go left.
It's like they're not accustomed to, yo, yeah, let's see how much help. For my job over here, it is a part of the rule.
Hmm.
And if somebody step and ask you for direction, I'm just a normal transit worker.
Hmm.
Somebody step and ask you for directions, you supposed to at least stop and try your best to
Yeah,
see
and
how
give
you
them.
can
Yeah,
direct them
guide them in the
and
right
guide
direction.
them within
You know,
those
you know.
steps.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Sherwin, because on Monday we were talking about um, the very same thing. How would you like, for example, and when I say we were talking about the same thing, I was looking at what we say as Guyanese. Everybody says it, right? Everybody say, "Oh, you shine," or "the one is a paku," and
The
when you catch
green
a
nose.
paku, he's a green dungs, or when you catch a paku, he's got bossy back
What's
and put
what?
salt. All right, now you know what those sayings say in terms of your mindset. It says to anybody who hears that and understands it. For example, I understand that, and I know that's not something good. In
No.
other words, if somebody is in a position that they do not know something, in other words, they may shine. That means you take advantage of them then. That's what they're simply saying there by saying,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah.
they may shine, or use a paku, when you catch a paku, you bust their back and put salt.
Yeah.
So you're taking advantage of that person because, and it's tantamount to what you were saying there just now. And I made reference to it. They said, I was in the US and I remember being in J Metrotech train station. And I didn't know which platform I was really to go up to get the train.
Right.
And I asked a guy, and the guy actually took his time and he took me to the exact spot and said, all right, this is
Exactly.
where you
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
go.
That's what we're supposed to do. That's a
All right.
part of, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a part of the rule.
The
You
guy
know what I
took
mean?
me there, right? And he showed me in my phone on my GPS. He said, okay, yeah, what was happening here is
Where
that
to
you're on
where,
a
exactly.
right, where to where. You're on this level, you need to go up to another level. This is where you need to be. Right? And I was like, okay, if we adapt the very same attitude, right? For example, people will come to Guyana and they will ask for directions. I'm not saying every Guyanese does this, but we need to have more of an attitude of welcoming individuals when they come here. And if they ask for directions, give them the right thing.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't give them directions and then when they reach into somebody, they said, oh, this person said go direct. And you wondering is what was that person sending this person to go? You understand? Where was they sending this person?
Yeah.
You know, it's weird. I personally have run into a situation where a guy was coming out to Charlotte Street and he was like, excuse me. Could you tell me where to get? And he was asking me to go to. So I was like, who sent you down Charlotte Street? And he's like, oh, this guy told me go down Charlotte Street. Just like, oh yeah, in my mind,
They're
I was
not
like,
trying to send you in the nest.
yeah, they're sending you. Somebody sending in the nest to
Yeah.
go get it. And
So crazy, y'all.
yeah, it's crazy, bro. I mean, and that is part of the what I call the intrinsic attitude. It's like the same thing I talk about when people talk about thief and don't get catch. You understand? That's the same type of mentality that you believe that trying to go around the system or to try to beat the system is the best way to go. You understand? And we all those kind of things, we have to cut them out. You understand? We have to cut out those attitudes, and people have to more believe that doing the right thing and the positive thing is the way to go. You understand? And stop idolizing criminals and people who do the wrong things, because this is what happens.
I think that's one of the reasons why, we are bringing it back to what the culture is being injected, right?
Yeah.
We're injecting, especially when it comes to some of these shows and some of the actual promotions into
Yeah, yeah,
entertainment thing, it's not coming like you really want to adapt or bring that tourist atmosphere, that security atmosphere. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, promoters are trying to make a quick dollar because of the crowd.
yeah.
But if you want to be like in a place of saying, I want this thing to be so memorable, and for people to start traveling and come for these things because of whatever, you can charge bigger bread, bigger money for these shows because you know for sure it's attracting people from the islands, people from
North America,
North America, and all these
Europe.
things because
Yeah,
you're creating things like festivals, you're creating things like some kind of um some kind of daybreak or something. You know what I mean? And a question I asked myself the other day: why is it? Because it's more than one island in the Caribbean. Why is
hmm
it hard for? It's easy for places like in the US to
hmm
have a day show that's big, and a day show. If you're going into a building, day show big
yeah,
time, and you go in
yeah.
and finish at about 10, 12 in the night, and the
hmm
show ram crazy. But you
yeah.
can't get that kind of show like on a regular basis in. What's the reason for that?
I'll tell you one of the things.
I just asked. It's just a question.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say that that's what I
One of the
projected.
factors that would definitely contribute to that is the fact that we're talking about two different cultures and two different styles. The Caribbean has gotten into this rhythm of we get up at 12 o'clock, we get ready, and we hit the dance 1:30, 2, and we party right through to 9 o'clock in the morning. That's Caribbean culture. We do that, right? Um, in let's say the US and stuff is a different culture. They would, for example, they the US, they like the barbecue, they like the day, come out, they have the big day, everybody, families, picnics, all that kind of stuff. That's the North American thing. So I understand how that works in that territory in terms of people coming out during the day and partying up into the evening, and then they go home at like 10, 11 in the night. But Caribbean people is not into that.
It become tough, but I mean, I was looking at the whole thing. It helps security wise, you know.
Mm-hmm. It does.
If you look at it helps to cut down on a lot of crimes.
Yeah,
and also it helps to get people to be more in a fresh state of mind to actually work and finish and done, and it's all done.
No, but you know what is very similar to that on Tagua when they got the big party at the stadium. That starts in the morning because remember our boys town this kick off as well in the morning. So maybe if they look at having those events, but you see again, the Guyana and Caribbean culture, it can take a while to break into that kind of timing because you remember we like get up, we like go and sleep early, 7 o'clock. We go in and catch a 5, as we say in Guyana. We get up 11:30, 12. We start get ready, dance at 1:30. That's how we go.
Well, I think it's you know why I said that because I believe what happens is that okay, if you have big shows during a certain time and you actually that's more open air where everybody's going hell to skelter doing whatever. Security system know for sure that within this time we have to be busy on a widespread.
I mean it's way easier to
but then when you lose that now, when it's finished, everybody moves to the clubs, which is a more controlled areas. You know what I mean? You could go to the club until whatever time you want to go home, whatever. But it's a more controlled type of, settings. So they get to control that kind. It's just just something that I was looking at because I went to a show the other day and the show started from 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The show kicked off about 7 something or something like that. That's 2 artists. Show kick off from that time and it goes straight up to 10. So the 2 artists had enough time to perform or whatever. But before that, everything was a good build up. Everybody came on and the build up was so nice. You know what I mean? When everything finished, it's like, what? It's still early, bro.
Yeah.
Still got something more you could do.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm telling you. If we do that in Guyana, come on, bro. We're Guyanese. We know how we're drunk. Guyanese love to do something called, and nobody else do this. Guyanese do something called overdo. All right? Nobody else does this. Guyanese does overdo the do, as we say in Guyana. The only other people I know that overdo the do is if you go like like in the deep south and you meet up those white guys who just like drink X amount of beers.
Yeah.
Right. Then that's the people you can see, doing it like Caribbean people. Drink till they're basically
Martin, what's up, man?
Yeah,
Greetings.
yeah. Greetings,
Want to
bro.
upgrade the camera or what?
Yeah,
Look
the
like the
man.
camera upgrade, boy.
No, it's the
Yeah,
same camera. No, it's I getting sexy over there.
you want people tell you bleaching.
You always want somebody tell you
Yeah,
you're a
yeah.
pretty boy.
Nah,
What's
it's
going
me, it's
on?
all me.
Is that it? What's going on, my boy?
They're easy.
So
Now
you
joining
be
in, sorry to be late.
yeah, no problem, bro. But you be hearing what we be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The other aspect of this, just before we get into a little bit more serious, a bit of the thing I was talking about earlier, where social media intersects with politics
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that, because it's a crazy thing that's happening in Guyana. We find big prominent lawyers going on what we call social media influencers pages, and not only lawyers, but we're talking about learned individuals, right? And I'm thinking in my mind, why would you need to, if you were propagating the right things,
Yeah.
why would you need to, for example, team up with a few of these characters that are on social media? Because I can't really describe them as anything else but characters. Because really and truly, there are some serious characters on Guyana social media,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a different level of characters on social media, right?
No.
According,
One of the problems though,
mm,
Malachi, I think it's coming from the top,
mm,
and I believe just the advice. If I could have advised the present government
mm,
is ease off the social media. When you coming out to do anything like press conference and these things, it's supposed to be media houses that come together to get what they got to get from you and then address it in their media platforms, right? Leave it up to them after you finish with that. If you have a address that you want to make sure you reach the extended level, and you gotta do a public address, you say, okay, all right, cool. I'm gonna do it via wherever media platforms is there to do it live, and also
mm.
I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it on our social media page, so it's announced. But when you do all these little things and these little flaws is happening in between all these different things, it becomes like we all in the same thing. We all in the same kind of. So were you trying to tell me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to why you trying to tell me what to do when you be doing the same thing. So instead of being like I said, because we
This,
look, I take an
you saying
example.
one second. You're saying the same thing as in the use of social media to disseminate information.
Right, but I'm saying, like, as the government,
Hmm.
now your messages is to make sure that you allow the media houses to do their job. Right? When you come to do whatever, but of course, yes, I have my I have
I,
yeah.
I'm not cutting you short, but the major problem is, all right, and this is something me and Martin discussed on a show before. The major problem is the National Communications Network is not at the level that they can deal with, um, you know, what we're talking about. Because in order to do that, you've
Mhm.
got to have attractive personalities on radio and TV. You've got to have proper programming. There's a whole class of things that's got to go in for
Right.
you to be able to do what you're saying there. But what has happened? The social media aspect of Guyana has overtaken the
Of
actual
course.
real
A-
entities.
And of course, where you find there's a lot of distractions. Because look at this. They're on social media trying to address or trying to do a conference, a press conference. And
Mhm.
you got hecklers that's kicking in and doing saying all kinds of nonsense.
I decide in the comments.
Right. Boom, distraction. By some means, they might go and end up answering the person. on in the comment that is really not a part of the press conference. It can happen like that. That's one. Two, you also have there's things that you know for sure that you want to make sure that okay, this is what I'm going to put out there. I have it's going to be done in a professional way where I have somebody that is narrating this whole thing. If you notice, you look at uh press conference coming out to the White House and them thing, how they do it. So you do it at a certain point. When it comes to a certain, it reached a place where it's getting out of control. Okay, listen,
No, no.
until whatever, and it's
What
out.
what you're basically outlining there, Sherwin, is, for example, Joe Rogan is a very big social media guy, podcast guy, but Joe Biden would not sit down with Joe Rogan and do a press conference to get his information out there. This is what we're talking about.
Okay,
Although you may be big on the social media platform, when it comes to the actual dissemination of
it's
government
protocol.
news
You gotta
and
go according to
information,
yeah,
it's got to go through media houses.
correct.
But listen, this is what I'm saying, Jerry. In Guyana, what has happened because the lack of professionalism with journalists, the lack of what we call investigative reporting. So the news is just basic crap and regurgitation. What happens is that the media houses have been unable to attract a solid audience to pay attention to when they say stuff. So then they lose advertising dollar. Nobody's paying attention.
But
But the people who
it's
are
gonna be forceful. If you want to know something, is either you go to the website, the government website
no,
to
but
see
what
the
is gonna
press,
but
or
this is
you
what I'm
go to
telling you,
all
sure.
these other. You wait for the
It's not,
news, or you wait for whatever.
but they should have never allowed the social media to overpower the actual media houses. This is what has happened. So to reverse the trend, you have to change up a lot. You understand? You have to change up a lot
Yo,
because
yeah, it's
because
crazy.
most people, right? Most individuals do not get their information from looking at the 7 o'clock news. Look, at one point in time, everybody in Guyana knows this. They used to look at Channel 28 news at 8 o'clock. Everybody used to catch Prime News at 7. All right.
Road used to clear
Channel 9.
for
At,
a quick couple
that's,
minutes
that's what I'm
to
telling you.
get what's
Everybody used
the
to run
information.
in 6
Run in.
o'clock. Channel 9. Everybody used to run in the house just to turn on the TV, just to catch the news. No, not that the news networks or the news is not as important now as back then. But because you have a phone in your hand and everything coming updated, but what you got to realize is that a lot of this information that coming to you is not fact-checked information. All right. However, if you go to a news network, like if you were supposed to go to NCN and whatever information comes out from them, you know, hey, this gotta be good, right information on what is actually happening here in Guyana. Now, credibility. I'll tell you some of the things that stops us from actually getting to that point. Credibility is one of the first factors. Reliability on them to give you the information on time and the factual information is the second part of it. This is why people like, for example, the Guyanese Critic has overtaken major media houses. Because if you're going to be somebody like a reporter who's going to be on the scene live and you're looking at the thing while it's happening and you're broadcasting that to your audience,
Right.
who is not going to go for that because I don't need to see it tomorrow. I need to see it now while it's happening in it.
But what I'm saying it's like NCN, if we want to put it in that sense of government information or information that's coming out from the
Yeah.
entire Guyana, I think there is enough that you can create conversation. Like if you look at the structure of these big MSGN, or you look at CNN and all these different guys, they're structured in ways that okay, we bring in different programs that entails the education of outer world and in, and they're actually it's made up for a daily basis. All right, whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
Was the news coming from this end? Was the news coming from that end? There's repetition of things that has to be said because it got to be covered all the time as a
Mhm.
reminder.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You telling me that's something that they can adapt to. They're not that professional.
There's,
No, sir.
no. You have to be one. You've got to be trained. One of the things when I was at NC and I did indicate to the CEO then, I said everybody you hire in the production department actually has to know production. They actually have to know cameras. They actually have to know to edit. They actually have to know to use their voice. In other words, they have to be good at voiceovers. And she was like, "But none of them in up to that class." I was like, "So why are they here?" Because this is what a production house is supposed to have. If you're gonna have a major production house with an injection from the national budget going to that entity every year, and you cannot compete with the private entities that don't have half the subvention that you have, something definitely wrong.
Let me ask you a
Or saying
question.
that we're supposed to compete.
But they could do on the spot live to the studio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen
Yes.
away,
Yeah.
and
You mean like
airs
you mean
direct to the
like,
studio.
you mean like an outside
Yes.
broadcast?
They
So
have the
then
capabilities.
somebody's
So
supposed
they
to.
have the studio on wheels. They have a
Yeah, they
mobile
have.
studio.
So
Yeah,
then
they
you
can go.
saying you supposed to have somebody supposed to be living by the high court or the magistrate court every day.
That's what I'm
You
telling you.
get all the information and you get it's in and out kind of reports
Yeah,
coming in.
yeah.
That's something that's supposed to happen. There's
But
supposed
we
to be
don't have that
somebody
And
enabling
reporting from
system for
all the
that.
different regions supposed to be reporting like that.
and
That's equipped. That's got to be equipped.
the good thing about Guyana, because everything happens in such a laissez-faire fashion, like slow poke, you could literally get all the roundups from every single region and every single court, and still go
Mhm.
live from the court in Georgetown.
Yeah, it could come in between. Yeah, indeed,
You
because
understand?
everything happens according to how you connect
Yeah.
the programs connecting with
It,
reports coming out of this area, that area.
exactly. And once you get that
And a
information
man could,
in,
when he finished with one area, he could move within the same. Say he's within a tongue.
Mhm.
He could move with 5 different places within 1 hour or 2 hours to give you
Mhm.
reports on what's coming out in these different areas.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you see, the problem is that the lack of knowledge, which is what I like to call incompetence, right? Because these people is not competent enough to do what they're supposed to do, we kind of have that open space. Because I would have seen them live broadcasting for 1 year at the emancipation.
Right.
But I also seen a bunch of people who have no idea of how to put the cameras in the right settings if you're facing the sun or if the sun is backing you or whatever the case may be. You understand, man? So
That's how it's
everybody
really,
just runs around and do whatever, and that is what they produce. Which is why, I kind of want to say it, but when I got into media and I started studying NCN a couple months ago, I was like, yo, this is joke. Given that they have all the equipments, what NCN doing is joke.
Mhm.
And all
Mhm.
the people that they have, you have to laugh at them. Like, so when the rest of the world laughing at we, well, you can't feel no way because I start laughing at myself. NCN plays one thing over and over and over. I understand this information, but playing the same information on a regular basis, like you ain't got at least 50 people in office to go and produce content, that don't make
The,
sense.
the funny thing about it, when I mentioned to them that what was really supposed to be happening, especially from the government side of it, was we were supposed to be able to produce maximum length of a PSI would be 60 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
and you would have 15, 30, 45-second PSIs. For example, when you're if bills are being tabled at Parliament, right, they would want to come in with maybe a group of parliamentarians from the same side and discuss some of the pointers. Now, if you're in the audience and you sit in there and you are not at a certain level of education, you are lost at what's
Yep.
happening. All right. Now, when I explained to the then CEO of NCN, I said, listen, what needs to happen is that you need to have bullet points. So they're not just coming in to randomly ramble about stuff that happened in Parliament, but you're trying to have an itinerary of what exactly happened in Parliament, what you tabled, what was discussed, and where are the benefits to the population. That's where the connection for the individual looking at them discuss this stuff. That's where they link. That's where they come in. All right. Now, I was even suggesting to them what needs to happen at that point is that you need to set up a mechanism where parliamentarians could possibly come in and be questioned by the audience who's looking at the program. Or you can possibly set up a live audience to come in and have questions right after a parliament sitting and
Nah,
stuff.
it's best that happen on post production, brother. A live audience for Guyana is wild.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
no.
Facebook already. That's social
that's
media.
headache. That's headache for them. That's headache for them to
That got happen on post. Imagine the
Yo.
ministers coming out and mumbling or coming out high.
Yeah.
We can't have them type of thing in Guyana, brother. We too lawless for certain things. It's right, man. So we got to do it in studio and then put all we work in editing it, and then we put it out to the public. Because if we do anything live, like how we doing right now, imagine if I slip up and tag the wrong thing. This is gonna live there forever.
Yeah.
So imagine if I come out now and I know that I sober, but you know that I drunk, right? The another one know that I high, and everybody giggling, and Guyanese ain't got no manners. We can't have that live.
Well,
So
this is what I said.
The thing is needing to know, just like we talk in music, playing your position, right? It's the same thing for production. I believe that I couldn't have been a good photographer if I didn't know how to edit. Yeah, you could take pictures, but I needed to know how to edit, right? Because a lot of things in Guyana, what they do is everybody have this, I kind of want to put it in front of the screen so you can see, but everybody have this light, right? The flash, and they put it on a big umbrella or a diffuser, and they have a remote in their hands, and they click, and they click, and they put literally like how we're here now. The camera's right in front of me. They put the models there, and they just put that flash right behind them or in front of them on the side of them, and it's a perfect picture every time. The problem is, said photographer don't know how to use their settings on manual. So they put it on most likely a program mode or automatic mode, and they run that camera through. It could be the most expensive camera. I've seen it, right? And you could go and look back at the pictures that every other photographer in Guyana posts. How blurry is the background? How much exposure they actually had? How much light is coming into the subject, right? Simple things that you need to know as a photographer or somebody behind the camera. And this is why I say I am the cute guy behind and in front of the camera, because I understand what happens behind the screen, right? So if people like regular Guyanese, everybody wants to be the hottest thing. Everybody wants to be behind the camera. Everybody go out and buy a cheap camera. You could buy it. It's $300 on Amazon. Now everybody's a photographer and they're doing weddings and they're doing this and they're doing that. But you're not very professional, are you? Because you can't put two sentences together. You're charging below price, which is embarrassing every other professional camera person.
Undercutting the business.
Exactly. And think you're killing the game. But then that continues to sink that industry. Right? Same thing happened for the big production. The biggest production house right now, which is Critics, right? I could say that is the biggest production in Guyana. Critics Studios, right? TBN Studios. But they use green screen,
in this
which
time.
is not a very good quality in 2024. You could spend
Yeah.
$60 on Amazon and buy a nice 4K camera and use it with the mic just like how we there right now.
Correct.
You buy a $200 switchboard, but this is having incompetent people on your team,
Yeah, they ain't understand.
right? No hitting to critics, but I like your program, but I also would like to see it compete. You got the numbers,
you got
but look like an international standard at least. Yeah. Spend $50,000 and build out a backdrop instead of having a fake green screen backdrop.
Or build yourself.
People just act like this thing is rocket science. It's
this
not.
Ain't rocket science. You could build a studio in a space.
You got the studio.
You know.
You got the studio. Just build 100 backdrops. Everybody got plywood.
Well, there's a part of it as well. But tonight, of course, sure, we'll give them the numbers again to call us if they want to join the conversation. Or
in case you want to call 718-673-2201. 718-673-2201.
And if you're outside of the US, you want to put +1 in front of that. Yep, in front of that number. So tonight we're talking a little bit about where politics meets entertainment or intersects with entertainment, and commerce and business is a strange thing because week before the last, because last week, again, we had to apologize for not being on last Tuesday.
Yes.
We were talking about part of it in the political sphere. We were talking about this call to boycott a particular restaurant in New York City. And subsequent to that, a statement came out on social media, which was published by Guyana Daily News, which proposes that the brother of one of the most vocal individuals from New York about Guyana's issues, Rickford Burke, his brother came out and made a statement claiming that Rickford Burke is destroying and hurting their family. And I'll read a bit of that article from Guyana Daily News. It says, the older brother of controversial APNU-AFC activist and wanted fugitive Rickford Burke has publicly lambasted him for, and quote, hurting and destroying their family through his actions. In a recent Facebook Live on his personal page, Branford Burke said that his brother, Rickford, was doing things, quote, doing things to hurt the family. He went on to detail how his family has suffered because of the actions of Rickford, who uses his social media account to denigrate and defame persons who share opposing views. And that's just a part of that article. It's a pretty lengthy article from this guy's brother. But if you have, first, let me ask the question. What are your thoughts on, the brother of this particular individual coming out and saying stuff like this?
Well, it would make sense in a way whereby I can't speak directly on if he's hurting the family or not, but the man do have a very aggressive manner of going, paying attention to things and addressing things. And in my opinion, a lot of stuff is wayside stuff, right? A lot of stuff, the smallest thing would happening, especially with the current government, right? And he would speak on it in a manner where you can't really believe what he's saying.
Well, one of the things that I found hilarious, there was an issue the other day where the Minister of Infrastructure had gone to a neighborhood, really to meet with the community, talk to them about the purchase of the compensation really for their place, because they're using that area as part of the bridge construction across the Demerara. And somebody came up with a live, and they were kind of abusive to the minister and saying, "Get out!" And you come in with a little bit money, and you give the Indian people a lot of money, and now you all come in and give black people a little bit money, and all
I
this
think
kind
the
of
older lady did that.
yeah, older lady did that.
The rest of them.
And right. And what I wanted to, because I'm the type of person, again, I like to listen to what somebody is saying, and I will pick the sense out of what we're saying and pick sense out of the nonsense. Now, one of the things that came out in that very thing that she was saying is that they were giving an offer, all right, and it would include a few things, relocation, land to that relocation, etc., etc. So I'm wondering if you're in a position, and based on the looks of the video, because I think you saw the video as well, Martin,
Yes.
of a few of the houses that she happened to pass by, because I noticed she was making a conscientious effort not to show the houses really. And that was the funny part of it, because I'm wondering, I'm saying, okay, well, you really gotta be living in a mansion to be making all that noise. So could you show us this mansion you're living in? Because we ain't seen it.
No, you see, this is the thing. I just want to be a little more neutral on that matter. You know, not to say that I'm siding on no side, but like I would just say, see, first thing first, I think the minister should have, as a government official, should have hired or have a contracting PR kind of system to go and deal with these people properly.
Correct. He should not have been there.
He should not have been the person trying to do something like that. One. Secondly, right? There was, well, if you notice in the video, the woman was very normal at first, but then the build-up came with
when she approached the minister.
No. Remember the way he said, a man could be as simplistic as possible, but at the same time, it sends a message of who feels it knows it, right? The thing is, I would like you to accept this letter, and I would like you to sign here. Now, she is actually trying to reference of, listen, I tried to talk to you a couple of times, buddy, and you just wind up your window and then went away. You wasn't even want to listen to me, but now you pull up to me and you trying to make me, put this thing in such a way. Now, when I sign, right, it puts me in a dilemma like, yo, I'm back against the wall, cause you know what I mean. We know if you look at the whole thing, there is no trust. There is no trust between the two parties, because she know if she sign, we're going down. Secondly, she declaring we had not properly sit down and come to a conclusion on what we decided on what you will give me. But
correct,
you already went ahead already, and we got the wire that you already give these individuals so much, but you telling me we still have to come to that level of conclusion of what we can offer you. Now, listen to me. As a Guyanese citizen, I think, first and foremost, you're about to build a structure that is a structure to make multi-million dollars. A structure that is going to be a landmark in the country. That's just my suggestion. If you come to a man to tell him you would like to get this land, as much as you can.
Eat.
No. As much as you can, right? If a my house, let me give you the example. If a my house costs $10, right? Give you a $30. If a my house costs $5, give you a $15. The reason why, make sure that when the person finish, they're happy to know that, okay, I had to do this in the sense of knowing that it's a part of my country's development, but they made sure I was comfortable and I was happy at the end of the story. But you don't know, you come in and evaluate somebody place that I live in for so much years. But you know how much right away. There is no value to a man when he said to himself that, yo, this is the love, this is where my heart is, this is my love.
Correct.
The only thing you could do is try to make that man as happy as possible so that he could walk away and said, I feel pleased to know that, yes, but at least I was a part of the contribution to make that bridge to be it where it is. And at the same time, they made me happy. But we all carrying away the story where nobody is sitting down and trying to evaluate, like, yo, what can we do to you coming and pushing people into a direction of, you ain't got to give the same as you give the man because your property is valueless. But give me something that I could say, at least, yes, this is what's going on, but at the end of the day, we can make you a triple time happy or double time happy, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
So from my understanding, right, everybody is getting exactly what they deserve. Everybody's getting a piece of land, right? Everybody's getting compensation, and everybody's getting paid for moving, right? Now, if your place is valued at 10 million and your neighbor is valued at 15, then you can't expect to get as much as your neighbor, right? So that already within itself is a problem. Now, if you find out that your neighbor getting 5 million more than you, and you going to want to kick up a sting because you're going to say, well, how I there right next to she, and she getting more than me. Let's not look at how straight the hair is straight or how curly, right? But let's look at the facts. Because I understand what you were saying just now, but I never look at it from how you look at it. But at the same time, that is a little bit mixing your emotions, which, as I like to tell people, that don't pay bills.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? These men coming with actual checks to tell you this is the procedure, this is the legal way, and we are being nice. Because really and truly, we could kick y'all off if we want, because this is a part of the bylaws. Right? Now we gotta be fair. You know the country you're living in. Them people nice. The minister come to your house and talk to you. I would assume, as I heard, they had previous conferences with the entire community before that altercation took place, right? Or interaction.
Okay.
Now, if we're looking at it from a feelings point of view, whereby you kind of mention it in, the sympathy, then yes, I can't pay. Nobody could pay if you little sympathy. But do you want water to come and wash away your house if I don't come and take it? Because you're there right by the river. Don't let me lie. You're there right by the water side. Is right, man? We could build we house. We could build we bridge, sorry. And in 2 months, in your house fall off the post. And then you're going to want to blame we. Because really and truly, they don't have to move if you kind of look at it as black and white. Them people ain't got to move. But I know from the time I started drilling new house going down, I've seen it in America with big buildings far along when another building built right next to it. See, imagine a little wood house, right? Or even a basic concrete house. Because right now we don't use proper materials and mixtures and the right measurements and things to build housing again. So we already got a building problem. So if you put all these things together, now we're looking at different factors. You can't pay the lady enough. No, you can't pay nobody enough because of how they feel. Yes, you got your sentiments in it, but we can't compensate you for your sentiments. The most we could do is give you a piece of land that is pretty much the same size or bigger in a better environment. Because have you ever seen the houses within that area? The nice house up on the opposite side, right? Which is Nandi Park, if I say any places right? Yeah. Them fancy area on the coast side, right? Or the bank. I've been out again for a while, so y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Is the East Bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. So them fancy house on the opposite side of the road of the East Bank. Them house over there, they're decent. They build up strong. Some of them. But that is not a good place to have your house in. Not because you're on the front of the water. That is not the place. If you actually look at how Georgetown was made up, you don't want to live there. That is like living in California upon the hillside and then earthquake come and your house fall off. Who you going to blame then? Nobody told you to go build there. So the government coming in and giving incentive to get things done in the right manner and put we on a good track, and not just them people, but put the entire country on a good trajectory, you gotta give it to them. Now, on the grounds of the minister coming in, that was very stupid. You understand me? That was very stupid because you feel what? You as minister, you could go meet people on boots on ground. That's not for you. That's not your position. You understand me? Play your position. You can't be ignorant to the fact. Now, once you play your position correctly, that altercation and incident wouldn't have taken place. That video would have never had surfaced because you had a conference with everybody. Your job ends right there. Go back to the office, sign documents, and send the people on their merry way. That is that procedure. My 2 cents.
Yeah. Come in, Malachi.
Well, bro.
Remember Martin talking on a 50-50 balance.
Well,
I come on the side where I was like trying to be more on a personal point of view might be coming from the feelings.
Yeah, pay for your personal feelings, but you know how much I got to pay for them.
No. But what I'm saying, right, Martin, you know what's gonna be real. But look at this here in the conversation. You know what's gonna be real tough and tight? When the bridges are already constructed, mano. And then you see certain people start moving in the same area.
That is the thing. The government cannot put a standard operating procedure. If you're going to move people, you cannot put people back there to live, Maji. Because then you could hold them people accountable.
Bro.
All right.
What is the bylaws of living on the coastline? I hear what you said, but no house should be on that side.
And it can happen because you already committed yourself to saying, okay, I give it up. Then eventually the government could come back and say, okay, we see where we can benefit back from where we have to sell back this land at this enormous amount or whatever. And it's business. It comes back to
we did business. Only now, this is where I take up the side of the people, right? If the government only sell back that piece of land and don't build a proper CRM protection method, that's it. Hold the government accountable. The people have to know them rights, eh?
Hold on. Let me just say something. First things first, right? As Sherwin said, he take a neutral side, Martin take the people side. All right. But here, whose side I take it? I take in the government side, right? And I take in the government side from this standpoint. First things first. If you understand Guyana's law legally, you will know that although you have land, the government still has possession or authority over your property, regardless. And this happens across the board in any country, right? That's the first thing. Secondly, if your country is going through a major infrastructural development project, the government has the legal right to offer you a certain amount of money. In our case, the government of Guyana has gone over and above. In other words, if in the US, they will offer you a certain amount of money to move, and that is it. They're not finding any land for you in no prime spot. So let me get the nonsense out of the way.
Yeah.
Right? No. In Guyana, the government of Guyana is not only giving you the value to your property, which would include your land, but they're giving you land so you could relocate. All right? That's an extra plus for you because you could go get a brand new house and a new mortgage and everything going on.
Yep.
Plus money in the bank. So Guyanese have opportunities, but you see, when you're not thinking big and you're thinking micro instead of macro, is a whole vibes, bro.
You know, I still say, right, it comes back to trust is like the people has from the line of leaders
No,
coming all the way
but
from this.
Sherwin, what kind of trust we talking?
separatist group.
First things first, you would have to provide me with the land to relocate before you break down my property.
All right, let me ask a question, right? This is a feasibility question, right?
Yeah.
How long was that was that project in projection?
Well, let me tell you this.
At least 2 years now,
No, no,
from my
no.
It was
knowledge.
2 years
Nope,
now?
nope.
From my
Actually,
knowledge.
no. From your knowledge,
Mhm.
that proposed bridge was proposed since 2020.
See?
The solid bridge across the Demerara was proposed by the
It's about
PPP
4 years now.
since not why say about 2020, before 2015. Sorry, before 2015, around 2014, 2015.
Because is either that, sorry to cut you, Malaka, is either that or we continue having the current one flow to every 2 mining.
Well, this is
No.
what they're proposing. Hold on, Sharon. These are some of the things that I remember specifically from them in their manifesto and stuff that they used to talk about.
Mhm.
The hydroelectric plant was a major thing on the agenda. I was in Parliament when that was discussed, when that was tabled, and the discussion about that happened. The next one was having a solid bridge across the Demerara and having other installed solid bridges, but the first one was to be that one. All right. So these are not things that, let's say, came out a couple of years back. These were things that were tabled in Parliament long. But like the Amila Falls, if you go back to parliamentary records, you would see the Amila Fall was stymied and stopped by the opposition party.
Mhm.
Because if we had that built, and anybody with a right thinking mind knows, if you got water running and wasting there all the time, hey, I can set up a hydro dam.
Now we
We
got
could
going
trap
rent
that.
light.
And and this is the kind of stuff. Now the government has to now employ a barge to add to our grid, so ensure that when we go low shedding, well, there we could go to another and put the lights back on. But we're gonna have to pay for that for 2 years. Hold on. And then when we finish, hopefully by then, the opposition gets some sense and realize, listen, let's not suffer the population because we want to pressure the government, but let's get into serious talks about how we're making this hydro plant benefit Guyana. And feasibility has already been done on it. We already know Brazil has said, made commitments to citizens. We're going to take power from you. In other words, that's currency coming into Guyana.
Yeah.
Other countries, including Suriname, it says once you get that running and you got so much kilowatts from this happening, we're going to take electricity from you because we can't use the amount of power that could be generated by the Amila Falls or other falls because Guyana is littered with rivers and waterfalls.
Let me tell you something, right? I just give you an example of power.
Mhm.
Wherewith, if even we get the Amila Falls, we
Mhm.
get the barge or the ship together with what we got on land. If we don't do infrastructural work to get the current or to distribute current and make sure that, like I would say, substations, not them substation we see there, one that till away, so one that till away. So you got to look at zones and what's in the area. You got to zone off those areas, and they have to be substations all the time. In those is an infrastructural work. Now, when you finish, when the power start distributing, everything becomes easy for the engine, easy for whoever supplying
because
you'll be doing a lot of waste current.
Not only that, Sherwin, one of the things I noticed in metropolitan countries, the industrial areas are always separate from the housing and the office areas.
Of
And
course.
what you notice, and if you pay attention, if you look up, you notice a lot of the high tension cables are running to the area where the factories are. And you notice there are transformers and breakdowns going towards where the housing and the business areas are. So once you, and that goes right back to what you were saying, Shirley. they have to understand the zoning areas because everything can go in every area. And this is where Guyanese also have to get in their head. You can't have a house, you live in upstairs and a shop downstairs. If everybody, and we know that there's a norm in GT, everybody know that. That's a norm. So we have to start thinking bigger. We have to start thinking outside of the box. This is how we generate business. Because if you decided to take that same money that you invested to build a downstairs and say whether you can turn it into a shop or a store, and you decided, okay, I'm going to look to invest in either purchasing a particular section of a building, if they do that in Guyana, because that's one of the things I noticed with Guyana is strange. Somebody will build a building, they will rent it out to several individuals, but they still want to own the entire building, right? And we know that, hey, you could literally sell parts of the building where you own that part of the building specifically. You are responsible for the upkeep of that specific part of the building, right? But we haven't again. We need to start thinking bigger instead of thinking in this way where we got to see everything happen right in front of our faces. If we
You have
see
to
it
have, for me, I tell you straight up, and you see, this is how the whole system was captivate. Even when I was living it in GT, you know, I could not have think out of the box many times. But they got micro governance is not something that should be happening if you want to have fast development and growth.
yeah.
Even your transportation system, you got to look at those things because you got to know how to make your country run in a certain way of schedule. Make you gotta these are the things that, but in order to get these things done, a government most times would say, listen, you know what, we can get what we got to get from this revenue, and at the same time we can subsidize into this thing to keep it going so that we could get what we need from it on a yearly basis, quarterly basis, whatever it is that is decided. Because at the end of the day, you're governing a country in order to create a proper system or create things
But
like
but but
yeah,
Sherwin,
yeah.
on the other hand to that, I've got to commend the present government because years ago they had actually brought in some big Tata buses to actually start the public transportation to solve that issue. All right. Now what happened was people will stand up, and this is something I personally witnessed. And I personally used the big bus because one, it was extremely cheap, and two, it was comfortable. But individuals looked at it and said, "Oh no, was the big shitty looking bus?" And they would look at that bus pass, and they would go into a way smaller bus, where the conductor telling you, "Small up yourself," so they
You
could
didn't
put.
don't pay bills.
Bro, look, this is what I'm telling
Can't
you about.
mix it together, my G.
It's a mentality of the people. But
First and
no,
Sharon,
yeah.
I
go
think
ahead, man.
one of the most important points you mentioned just now is when you was in Guyana, you couldn't think outside the box. Now you gotta ask yourself, how much people in Guyana ever leave to go and experience anything outside the box?
But this should be feasibility
We are so
studies.
comfortable. We're so comfortable. We haven't people in Letem haven't even reached Georgetown yet. Right? People in
No,
Georgetown haven't even seen the interior yet.
but let me be the devil's advocate here, Martin. You telling me
Mhm.
that you have to leave from Guyana in order to have a broader perspective of a system to make something better for yourself at home? That's what you're
No,
saying?
well, if there's
Let me give
nobody
you
teaching you, because
let
remember,
me give you a systematic tactics that I'm about to use. Right now,
Mhm.
we know we have 5 boroughs in New York.
Mhm.
Right? They realize that people hardly traveling on the train. So the money, they ain't making the money they used to make before. There's a lot of people that is doing a lot of free rides and whatever. But in any case, they figured out, okay, all right, cool. You know what we're gonna do? We can strike a congestion issue. So now you gotta pay to go in the city driving. $15 every time you touch. As soon as you touch a certain amount of time, place in the city, $15. Boom. You realize that nah. I ain't doing this.
No, for sure. And let me show you the biggest marketing trick that I saw in New York, and I laughed. And I said, look how nobody really picked this up, but this is a slick game. You know, when you talked about the transportation, you know what they did? At one point in time, they were doing it zone by zone by zone. For example, if you were going from Archer to where we were, right, in Queens, it was free. It was free on the bus.
Yep. Right.
What they did, you could go to the train station for free. You could leave the train station for free on a bus, right? Mm-hmm. But when you go to pay on the train, you're paying.
Correct. Because the logic was, if you pay on a bus, your card automatically, as long as it didn't cover a certain amount of time, that same card swipes, it takes the same amount, the same toll that you pay.
Yeah,
it's the same toll that you pay to go to the train.
Yep.
It covers both sides.
Interesting.
If you come off the train, you could go into the bus, and it covers. Like you could get a transfer from one bus to the next.
Correct.
Because the same card actually could take you to the next bus. You don't have to pay an extra fee, right? So now they realize like, okay, this thing kind of complicated since COVID and everybody fighting, everybody wanted, and they just jumping on the bus. We getting a lot of problem we don't want. This, all right, cool. But we know for sure that these buses running faster within a line. It coming when most times when the train comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah. You find
on time.
You feel that you're going free? It's you money you just pay. It's just that we didn't tell you to push your card in.
Nope.
You understand?
They got you. Already they done got you.
But they know what's up. That's the tactics.
Yes,
what these buses, because these buses are what they call them, you gotta make sure that you come on that bus with a certain ticket.
Oh, that's the select buses.
That's the select buses. You definitely gotta go because that man is be on that one. Yeah. That man is be looking for you on that one.
Yeah, they're looking for you.
Those are the select
it's
buses.
Understanding, man.
It's all sitting down and trying to figure out how you can deal with your people without the confrontation.
No. Let me just make an example here, right? No, Barbados, right over about an hour and a half flight again.
Yeah.
Right. Barbados has an effective transportation system, bus system. Grenada has one. All right.
Right.
And these are little islands he's talking about. And they don't have the population. Not that Guyana got a huge population, but they don't have the population like that. But they have an efficient running public transportation system.
But you gotta push. You gotta push.
No, but this is my point. I do not subscribe to us having to leave Guyana to create a system that is effective for Guyanese and the transportation. You just have to look at the system, look at what is happening in terms of the minibus congestion and all of that, and just look at what previously happened in Guyana during colonialism when we did have the big buses running from the Stabroek Market location on time to different locations. And you
who looking at them thing, Malachi?
No, this is what I'm saying. This is what they have to do. I'm suggesting.
No, they have to do that, but you're saying they have to look at which generation and population of the people looking at the Guyana.
No, well, this is
you gotta remember we kind of that way back, you know.
Yeah, but this is why we got mayor and city council in it.
The same people who've been in power forever.
No,
Are we
no,
gonna
no,
depend on
no,
these people to
no, no,
look
no,
anyway
no,
further?
no. Listen. We have a new mayor, all right? Listen. The last one was he was questionable. I mean, he used to say some things that used to take me back, right? But this guy, I haven't heard him make a lot of statements. However,
Mhm.
what I've what I did hear him say, it kind of it has a positive connotation to more of a development, looking at the city from more of a development aspect. No, I
Mhm.
hope that is the trajectory that he's going in. All right. I don't know, but based on what he said, there's not a lot of press statements and all that like the previous, and going on Facebook and
But
all that.
are we seeing changes though? That is the most important thing. Since he take office, are we seeing
Mhm.
any type of change in Guyana with the
Um.
city, with the garbage within
Okay.
their portfolio?
Okay. Well, I must say, in terms of the garbage, garbage is being picked up on time, and I can say
Mhm.
that from my neighborhood, which is part of Greater Georgetown. Right. Um. When it comes to the vending issue, where the encroachment on the pavements and all that is happening, they really need to tighten up on that. I noticed in certain areas on Regent Street, they have either made agreements with the vendors that, listen, at a certain time you pack up and leave. So
Mhm.
let's say by 6:37 and you drive down Regent Street, that relative congestion of stalls and makeshift things that you see selling on the road and all that, those are all gone, right? Um, to me, they need to curtail a lot more of that and provide, if people are not willing to go into probably like the vending arcades and stuff like that, because there are quite a few of them now that they established in the city for vending to happen. But what happens is that the vendors don't make use of them, because if you're not on the front, as people say, nobody is seeing you. So
Mhm.
people refuse to go to the back. And this is stuff that you could readily walk around in Guyana and see for yourself. For example,
Yeah.
where we got off the other day when you were in Guyana Market, and the two of us went to
Mhm.
the interior and we came back. And we went to get some fruits in the market where we came off, and that area towards the Linden car park area.
Yes.
All right. You would notice, as you noticed, there was a set of vendors along that whole area in front of the bank. Right.
Mhm.
Now, they are supposed to be at the back, at the fire station side, on the right hand side in that whole area, but nobody is in there. That's a whole vending bazaar in there that's empty, because they
Mhm.
refuse to go to the back there, because they say, oh well, people ain't coming off the road and go to the back there. But the whole idea of having those business places in there is for you to be able to attract people in there. That's the whole idea. Not for you to decide, okay, well, if people ain't see me, well, they ain't coming to buy nothing. Obviously, people know that's the vending fruit market. They have to go in there
Yeah,
if they're
they go
going
in
to
the
get
back.
fruits.
Mhm.
Exactly. So you have to be able to present, or what we call display, your products in such an enticing way that people want to come in and buy the product. This is
'Cause
where we lack the whole marketing, you know, that marketing aspect of the thing. Everything is a rub down, shove down. You put a crocus bag on the ground, you throw all the provisions on there, and you dash a cardboard pack in it that says $300 a pound, and that's it. This is how we operate. Let's be real. This is what we're talking about. We have to grow our mindset. You remember the other day, Martin, I was telling you, what about if they looked at Stabrook Market, refurbished the inside, kept the
Mhm.
old colonial Victorian architecture
The
on the
look.
outside, the look, made it air conditioned. All right. Only certain types of things can be inside of the market, because remember, you don't want it to smell foul.
Yes.
Right. Even if you have meats and fish inside, they have to be properly prepared, cleaned, and presented on ice. And in those areas, you have extractors to pull that kind of air out in those areas,
It's like a
right?
proper market. Yeah.
There's a proper market. Now, this is stuff that we really have. This is now this is where we have to zoom in on the mayor and city council. Where is their vision? Because just like the president was in New York and he was able to be all these buildings and stuff that in terms of infrastructure that he was showing to the Guyanese public, he was able to get 3D models and show you from where to where these roads will be running. They will be setting this, they will be building these bridges. All he was able to outline with a 3D model. You're telling me the mayor and city council couldn't outline a plan for the next couple of years and do a 3D model of
if you're going to be voted in, Malachi, into a system, right? I believe you should come with all these things in hand already. Because how we voting in somebody and they hand empty, their brains empty, right?
No, it just talks.
You can't. Comes back to feelings. You have to feel something to say it, eh? So we can't function a society based on feelings, whether it comes to land, whether it comes to the market system, whether it comes to the governing system itself, right? A country can't run on nobody's feelings.
Exactly. It's not about feelings.
So
it's about the structure.
How is it possible that we have anybody in any office based on feelings because you felt like this person is suitable? I can't feel you suitable. I have to know that you're suitable. You have to come with your qualifications. Did you study economics? Do you have these ideas? Let we see, like the manifesto, like you mentioned, the parties is put out every election. Where is everybody manifesto, not just the government manifesto? How we know what is your ideas for the next 5, 10, 15 years, however long you choose to sit down in that seat? We can't feel that you know it.
You see, one of the things too, when and this I mentioned in our previous conversations, we got to look at the legislation and the legal system, because if there are no penalties for government officials, politicians, when they make promises, they go in there, they misappropriate, they embezzle, they do all these things, and they're able to come out without proper audits. For example, one of the things that I know Guyana Parliament has is that you have, when you get into Parliament, you've got to have a declaration of assets. All right, when you get in. Now, what I'm wondering is everybody's looking at all these politicians, everybody's jumping out and saying, but when this person went in, they didn't have this and they didn't have that. So where is the institution or the body that is empowered now from the Auditor General's office we're talking about? Because once you're auditing everything in Guyana, this is your job. You're auditing the monies in Guyana. So if somebody goes into Parliament and before they got into Parliament, they had one car and a house valued at $5 million. And when they leave or halfway through their tenure in government or in Parliament, they end up with a $30 million house with businesses and cars and all kinds of stuff. Where is the audit on where did you get all of this stuff suddenly? Based on your salary scale and your taxes that you pay.
We've been seeing that there's something that we've been seeing from both ends for all these years. And nobody is trying to hold the other accountable, because when one person, one side get in, they're saying, okay, it's my turn now. So if I try to get too complicated with you, then it gives you the right to.
So when you come back in, you get complicated with me.
So everybody's
that part is understandable, right? That part is understandable, but that is not their job to hold each other accountable.
It's not.
It is the people's job to hold the people job to hold the people that you put in place accountable.
I don't understand, Martin, how we argue, fight with each other, and be angry with each other, and all these different things. And we as a people,
and you can't come together for one thing. Good
government take over. We have no power whatsoever. We have nowhere we
incompetence, bro. It runs from top to bottom. It runs from top to bottom. The
Let me
teachers
ask-
rather sit down at their house, knowing very well that they're making little bit to no money, and then wait until a couple people comes up and say, well, them ain't going to protest, we going to walk over here. We ain't coming out for the politics of it. We coming out for the entertainment.
Yo.
So everybody gonna come out and walk over here by this office and that office, and then the teachers yet ain't get no money. So they're going on strike for the second time in what, 2-3
No,
months?
that's
Incompetent.
yeah. Well, you know, that's something in a sense a gimmick. Again, the gimmick of not
I
showing
can't have
serious.
the educator.
But that's what I'm saying.
I can't have the educator in their
in those
feelings,
kind
brother.
of position, you're not supposed to be serious things like that. Is no gimmick in the whole game. You got to make sure you come out and make sure that because of the are serious the way you operate, everybody else gonna be holding behind you to say, you know what, we got to stand up with these people. You know, because I'm sure if it was to an extent so impacting, there might have been so much more normal citizens coming out, parents coming out, and all these different things. And
Sharon, I gotta say this, right? I gotta say this, and this is something that a lot of
can't gimmick
Guyanese-
anything. You got to make sure you're strong.
No,
And you
it's not-
can't
well,
you can't
let-
wear
let-
anything also. You can't wear
let me-
anything on
let
a
me tell you.
political side of
let me
things
tell
or
you-
whatever. You got to come
No.
out as
Let me tell you what you call in the gimmicks. The gimmicks is how they behave with something that is very serious,
Mhm.
right? Now, like Martin rightfully pointed out, you have a very serious matter. Okay, you're arguing that, okay, we should be paid more. All right? My thing is, if you are saying that you have a functioning educational system and you are putting in so much with the students, answer the question, why does Guyana have so many functional illiterates?
what do you mean functional? Do you mean
Bro, this is straight up.
Done
This is
stuff
straight
running
up.
things,
No.
Midgie.
Hold on.
Done stuff in office.
who is functioning?
Hold on. Let me explain to you what is a functional illiterate. All right? A functional illiterate is not somebody that can't read or write here.
I understand.
A functional
Somebody that
illiterate.
wants to make you feel that you supposed to be stupid enough to
No.
listen to them when they're
they
ignorant.
they are functioning in a position really that they're not supposed to be in that position, and very often we find that in Guyana because they are what we call functional illiterates. This is why we have this thing in Guyana where people is holler and tell me if I'm wrong. Oh, he been there long, man. He entitled to a promotion. Where in the world
Promote
Are
the
you-
home.
you are entitled to a promotion based on how long you have been in one particular position?
Exactly.
Where? Because I know if you've been in a company, the objective is to get promoted in that company over a period of time, not to
Mhm.
remain in that one position forever.
Ever.
Okay? So, I mean, this is where, again, is a mindset thing. And this is something that we know as Guyanese is a fact. You hear it every day. And if you, again, my question to the teachers, and this is not a knock at any teacher, but this is just this is cause and reaction, action
Mhm.
and reaction. All right. If based on what the claims are by the leadership or the leadership of the union, that so much is being done in education for the students, because remember, the end result is what shows your input, is the end result. All right. So based on the end result, if we have so many functional illiterates, explain to me, right? Because we know this, I know this is a fact. I know as a fact. I can I know young ladies who went to the University of Guyana and come out of the university with degree. And the only degree they know about is the under the table degree. All right? And this is facts. I know this. And if somebody wants to say, well, let's take it to court or whatever, yeah, let's do that. I know that. That's a fact. People I know have told me, well, that one there, they didn't do that. They didn't even do, they don't know the subject matter. And I know.
Have you noticed every minister that goes into office suddenly graduates from a college or a university that doesn't exist in Guyana, but they're in office every single day, campaigning every single day, but never attend the university that they're signed up for in the UK, in Canada, in Jamaica, in America?
No, well, this is why. You remember when we had that show when we were talking about Batty Lions versus the actual word Banty Lions, right? And this was actually said in Parliament, right? A minister who, not particularly liked, you understand, by yours truly. I mean, that's straight up, you know what I mean? Went in Parliament and said Batty Lions instead of Banty Lions. Listen, I don't mind you trying to. I like when people are trying to be great orators in the use of language, but you've got to stay in your lane. in layman terms, you know, you've got to stay in your lane. Because trying to go with terminologies that obviously individuals in Guyana ain't familiar with, as though you're in the English Parliament, it makes sense in my books. In my books, it makes no sense. This is why I respect certain people from back in the day. Like, I respect people like Chetty Jagan and his speeches to the Guyanese people. I respect speeches made by the one of these previous ministers as well. Used to give some really inspiring speeches. I respect this guy from the PNC, who was the finance minister, a very short guy. I'm forgetting his name. I'm going to remember it
Greenwich?
just now. Yes, Carl Greenwich. I respect Carl Greenwich for his knowledge, all right, and his ability to be an excellent diplomat. And this is one of the things that, you know, I mean, I think a lot of people overlook. I mean, we talk about, in Guyana, we talk about Sridhar Ramphal being a great diplomat for Guyana and stuff. But we really got to look at other people who are still around. And that guy is still around. Carl Greenwich, I think, has proven over time, because he has been able, and this is what I call an excellent diplomat, Sherwin and Martin. Somebody who, and let me use layman terms now, because I don't want people to get lost with my perspective. When you're slick, like Isle, you're a diplomat. You ever tell you, when you're slick, like Isle, when you could slip from one side to the next side and back, and you have cordial relationships with everybody, you are a diplomat.
Is a boss.
You is a boss. You understand? And this is why I respect Carl Greenwich. Carl Greenwich is able to slip across and work alongside the government based on his what?
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
But
I
realized that this government is I don't know if it is a strategy. I don't know if it's a strategy.
It's a strategy.
But what I'm saying, they are very open to anyone they know that has knowledge. Quickly, they will say, "Yo, yeah, come on, I want you to come on board." What?
That's how it's supposed to be.
No, this is knowledge in a certain area, a certain sector. You
So
gotta
no,
be
I don't
you gotta be
know.
connected. No, you gotta be connected politically.
But I don't know what's the long term. But at least in the whole sense, they're trying. Because I think there's a lot of things that they want to be in that kind of a line to make sure they connect the nuts from someone that has that knowledge. They connect those nuts that they're supposed to connect correctly. So they're trying to make sure, okay, yeah, he's the boss, but still, I want to make sure I get
I,
this
I,
knowledge.
I'll tell you what it is to me, Sherwin, and this is how I basically see it. It's a game of chess.
Mm-hmm.
If
That's what
if
I'm
I am
saying.
if I'm in a game and I have an opponent over that side and they seem to be quite an opponent, we've been jostling for a while. My objective would change from trying to immediately defeat this opponent to I gotta try as much as possible to weaken and neutralize eventually this
Yeah.
opponent, which would be a political strategy, which would be, in our case, the ruling party is using a particular strategy, which is to first weaken and to then neutralize the other party. And it's happening because what they have done immediately, and you can see this, and this is being happening over time, they have reached out to certain people
That's
in the
probably
opposition
yeah,
and offered them to work with them. I'll come take this job. You will
correct.
be working alongside this person. All right. And they are, for example, if you even go back like maybe a couple of weeks ago when there was this issue with Figueroa and the president shaking the president's hand, and there was a big uproar from the opposition leader about that and da da da, and the PPP did a very slick, like I tell you, this is where you have to strategize, a very slick move, right? They decided, okay, hey, why are you beating up this guy about shaking the president's hand? I mean, listen, this guy has a lot to offer. He's a youth. Maybe if he's thinking about coming over, hey, you're welcome over this side here, bro, because we're looking for people who have, that
Like
drive.
you.
All right, which really it is. I mean, and this is in no way to knock at the present government, but it's a political strategy to neutralize your opponent, and it's a strategy. It's out there. It's not like rocket science. We're not square rooting two,
Well,
and then
that man ain't scared or they're not too shy. That man bold enough to say, listen, is either yes or no. I mean, I throw it out there and let's see what's going to happen because at the end of the day, I mean, we want to make sure that we find, like you said, I never thought in the direction. I mean, you already, but on the next side, they're
mm,
more in a personal kind of a vendetta, like, yo, bro, I don't want nothing to do with extra. No. You
no, this is where they fail the people.
gotta
This is
be
what I'm
more
saying.
strategic to certain
They-
things.
this is where they fail the people. This is where
So,
the ruling party takes advantage of strategizing, and this is where strategizing is important. And you
mm-hmm.
can't strategize by using race. Race is not a strategy.
Especially in
All right,
Guyana.
in Guyana it can't work. A strategy is you got to look at it, a simple thing to look at if you really want to create a stir in Guyana is how are we addressing the issue of um, the world economy is changing, inflation is high, and we're not talking about just in Guyana, we're talking about in the world. But what is the government doing to mitigate that, not in terms of taxes, but in terms of price control?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where is the other? Remember, we said this on our program the other day, Martin. We noticed it because after we started talking about the price control, we even mentioned the speedboats because we were on them when we went into the interior and they were varying prices on them. And then I noticed a PSI came out on radio after we spoke about it on our radio program. All right. That says, that outlined the prices to go to different areas when you get to the Perica Stele.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then that came out. That should not have been something that you then do because the boat operators were raising prices arbitrarily. That's not something you should have done then. What you
Yeah.
should have done, you should have had a mechanism in place that says this is the fare, and if you were balancing the fare reduction based on the fact that they're getting a reduction in their taxes on the fuel, which the government said they were doing, why would they have a need to raise the price?
Yeah.
Because you're being subsidized through the fuel. So because the prices are being kept stable, and this is one of the things that Guyanese don't understand. If you look at the price in Guyana versus the price in New York for gas, you're gonna jump. You understand? Because although it's $3 and something, when you do the comparison in Guyana, you're paying way less in Guyana for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you this, and this is a fact. You can do this on your own and do the comparison. So
I
we
haven't
we
checked
we are not understanding the equation, and the government really needs to look at the area of price control board, and we're talking across the board, not in terms of just transportation and the prices on the minibuses and the taxis, because this is one of the things we spoke about as well on the show. And we brought it up because a lady posted it on social media where she was abused in a taxi from Woodlands to Medical Arts. And anybody who's Guyanese know the distance between Woodlands and Medical Arts. You can't tell nobody no $2,000.
Don't make sense.
You understand? That don't make sense. You know what I mean? You telling me $2,000 maybe to the bridge, to the Harbor Bridge from Georgetown, but you can't tell me $2,000 from two or three corners, 2 blocks, 3 blocks away, and you telling me $2,000. And this is somebody what is price gouging kind of things that happen, because what they feel is that once somebody looks a certain way, oh, they must have come back from foreign, so they got it like the $2,000. You know, so you've got to regularize a lot of it. You can't, although somebody might say, okay, I got my own private taxi. Okay, no problem. You got your own private taxi. But you have to set up a mechanism where if you say this is the price and they go beyond that price and somebody reports that, you lose a point off your license immediately. And you got like 10 on there. So
they got
if
a
you
point
make,
system in Guyana.
no, they don't. And this is what we're talking about regularizing certain things.
They
You
don't have a
have to
point system.
put point systems on these things. For example, you got 10 points on your driver's license. You get caught in traffic infractions, you're taking points off. You, for example, you drive in taxi and you abuse a customer, you overcharge, and a report is made and it's investigated, you're found guilty, a point comes off, or 2 points, based on the level of the infraction. Sooner or later, you realize, oops, you lose 10 points, you no longer can drive. You get your first probationary period, you get 6 months, no driving for you after you lose your 10 points. When you get it back, you only get it back with 1 point.
Yeah.
Any infraction after then, it's gone for good.
Because you got to drive clean for a certain amount of time to get it
Exactly.
cleared off.
So we have to implement stuff that can keep these people in check. Because, for example, the other day it had what? Yesterday,
Yeah.
5 people. A matter of fact, last night, like I'm saying yesterday. Yesterday into today, 5 people died on the Linden-Suzdijk Highway.
Head
in
on, bro.
head-on collision.
Head on collusion.
Now, how fast were they going? Because a vehicle, the manual tells you there's at a certain speed, and you apply the brakes, it can travel for a certain amount of feet before it stops.
Yep.
How fast were they going so they didn't see each other coming head on, so you could match brakes? I ain't saying that is what happened, because drivers fall asleep. Because based on what we were hearing, if you come from Kokwani to Linden and decide to drive to Tongue, you have to leave Kokwani like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30
Well,
in the morning.
we
Get
came
to
from
Linden.
we came from the same place a while ago,
Yeah.
Malachi, and we know the
Yeah.
distance
We know the
directly. So
directly.
coming, you gotta look at a lot of things coming off of them dirt road, right? because all the road ain't good coming down from Kokwani side. It's not
Nope.
nice and tar up. So coming
Nope.
off of the system, heading into Linden
Mhm.
is already a journey.
And
right?
then exiting Linden too.
Exactly. Now, you gotta remember, and this is why I just travel with certain people when I go into Linden, especially going to Borabis. And I think a lot of Guyanese people just pay attention to it too.
Mhm.
If you can't tell me how long you've been driving on the Linden Highway or on the road to Borabis, me and traveling with you.
Mm-mm.
For instance, a lot of Lindeners would tell you, I live in Linden long. 30 years I dep on this road traveling. Here's what let me lang. How much you discharge? No problem. Let's go.
Mhm.
Because I know you now have 30 years of experience.
Mhm.
You understand
On
me?
that particular road.
And that, however long that road have been in place, you was traveling on it.
Mhm.
So I feel more safe. And Malika, you would have noticed this. Anytime we traveling and I fall asleep, is because I'm comfortable in spirit
Mhm.
more than I am in flesh, right? Because if I feel in my spirit, yeah, you focusing, I can take me time and go to sleep. I can be relaxed and everything. But if I know
Yes.
that you ain't paying attention, I the opposite, like me, you driving together. And I
Mhm.
watching the road and I looking at you to see if you making any mistake. Because I know if you make any mistake, because of my little tactical skills, even though I don't drive, I
Mhm.
could then hop in. It might sound bad, but I can hop on your lap
I
and I can
pull
take over.
I can
Yes,
pull
right?
the handbrake. That's what I can do. If I'm
Aye.
next to you, I can just reach down and pull the handbrake because I know that can cause some stalling.
Good. And if you notice, anytime I travel, and even in America, I don't sit on the side that the driver's on. I sit on the opposite side. So I must be paying attention to where we going. You understand me? I
Yeah,
must know well you this whole you
I
car,
don't make
sir.
it worse to the driver, but
Mazda back, not me.
that
He's the
driver.
backseat, Mazda backseat driver. Man is back again. You driving while you driving. You know.
I know of instance
No, I serious.
where
I want to know that I'm
yeah,
comfortable and I'm gonna
you
reach my
driving and
destination.
people so nervous,
Yeah.
they jump and grab you, while you
Yeah.
driving, and you trying to. At least a driver's supposed to be more in a sense of calmness
Mm.
and not feel as though this person gonna be, hey, what you doing? Get up. That could throw everything off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Some
bro,
people,
I ain't one of them though.
you know,
that's serious. Some people
when
run
he
and grab the steering wheel. Like, no.
when he
And
said
that
that,
all
right?
that
Mm.
go off.
That's
That,
a fact. You see what Sherwin saying there about people
that
panicking to
thing,
that
that
they
thing
can
Mhm.
caused a lot of accidents, a lot of accidents.
bro. Well, let me give you the worst scenario you will. My experience, right? Worst scenario. It's not on the ground. It's in the air.
Mhm.
So I'm going from Suriname to Manaus. And let's the understatement of the year is that it's a small plane because
Cessna.
it right exactly. It's like one of them. It just below the dash 8, just smaller than the dash 8,
Mm.
and we head into Manaus, bro. We're going good skies, everything nice. Then the pilot says, ladies and gentlemen, we may be facing some turbulence. Now, this is the thing I don't like. This is the thing I don't like about traveling with certain planes and certain pilots. Because pilots is really make the thing sound nice and comfortable, right? We
Mm.
hear the laugh. The man says, we can be facing some turbulence, right? So I'm expecting the plane might be rattling, might blah, 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 blah. And that's the turbulence. Bro, we hit what I later understood was like what is called like vacuums, right?
Mm.
And it's not a big airline. So because it's small, it's gonna fall
Yeah.
into the vacuum
Fuck
and
you.
come back up. Bro, I'm telling you. You see, the first time this plane did drop, it's not like when you're in a big commercial airline, because the commercial airlines also go through the same
Yeah,
thing, but you're
yeah,
not
Yes,
gonna
yes.
feel it
You ain't gonna feel
because
it
it's
as
bigger,
much.
right? Bro, you see when it did the first one, I was like, the first I knew that was about 50 feet. We just literally just fell
Mm.
50 feet, right? I'm like, okay, not bad. because in the 50 feet, you know, like you could literally feel yourself just
Oh, wow.
the skin of your pants just is off the seat, right? All right, so I'm like, okay, there's a bit of turbulence because I held on to the arms, the armrest, and everything. I was able to secure myself. Plus, I was strapped in properly. I was like, all right, that's good, bro. The next two, everyone, all the women on the aircraft side, one hysterical screaming because the plane literally, bro, fell to the point where I was off the seat for a little bit, and after like maybe like I would say a second and a 2 milliseconds after, I was feeling weird, like I think we falling too much, right? So I was about to get to panic mode when we kind of we catch yourself again. I was like, if this gonna be the flight right through. No, seriously, at that point in time, I made a
You gotta take
promise.
over.
No, I made a promise at that point in time. I said, nah, I ain't flying on none of these little planes, never in my life again. But then when I went to New York the other day, well, you know, my bro is a pilot. He doing the pilot thing. He doing the little Cessna. So we went up again in a 4-seater. But we didn't get none of the trouble. I mean, luckily. But it's that kind of stuff, bro. When people get into a situation where they haven't experienced before, they can panic. And some people like
True.
the back seat driving or the passenger seat driving. You know, they can be driving.
Oh, see, for me, it's not even experience, it's control. Because I'm not in control, and I got to put me faith in Yuhan. Me here to know how sturdy Yuhan is.
No, well, you ain't got worry. Just now they're bringing out autonomous vehicle.
No,
so
but even that's worse because now imagine me, you get a problem and you hack me car, and I just gone on the use system. Yeah,
that's like the first experience.
I can't trust it.
That's like the first experience I had where the whole street tell me, "Why you body's cut a nice hair, boy? The man doing a good job." And then I gotta go and sit down for the first time. We cut my hair. See you like this. We do that, boy. Let's see. And the man get there more and more mad because you got no control, bro. Whatever come out is that's
what you gotta take. That's where you get in. You gotta take it. Yeah, but you know, those are some of the things that are you know, experiences that we all have. In retrospect, sometimes you think about them and you ponder like some of them, like some experiences when you go through them, like that one. When I look back at them, like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
You're thinking I could have dared, but
correct.
I could have gone missing right there. You understand? You know,
that's
and
like
they got so many.
My job with a train. There was one day when I know for sure there's a man right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I behind. And for some reason, he, you know, sometimes unconsciously, especially when that man is senior man, unconsciously that man just feel like, oh, just do what they're doing because it's not unlike a norm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what in my head turn and say, bro, just grab this man, bro. Because he just stepped out the door, because we on the right away where the train's passing. He just step out without any consciousness of maybe thinking that
where are we going?
No, the train might be passing. And I'm in my own mode. It's like I ain't hear nothing, I ain't feel nothing, but in some kind of subconscious mind, something say, bro, this man gonna walk straight out and bam. I just grabbed it. He's like, how you do that? I said, and then he's still arguing, you know. No, I wasn't gonna. I said, bro. But it's just, it's that kind of reaction all the time because these things happen all the time, bro. There's these experiences is like life and death. Like, yo, for real, that just happened.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But some people I know put themselves in jeopardy. Like I see a Rasta man do a thing a day. I was like, Rasta man, you really desperate for a number because yeah, seriously, he on one side of the platform, and I talking about we down Halsey, right?
Yeah,
This guy look across, see the girl. Hey, I want to holler at you. She says, okay, well, come holler at me. Instead of he go around and down the steps and up. You know, I just decide
October.
I ain't even worrying. You know, I do over the train. There, the train lines come pop, pop, jump up. Next platform. Collect a number. See the train coming and run back the same way. I was like, yeah, my bro. Yeah, yeah,
yo,
you're good. You're good. You're good. You're
we're
good.
back to catch the train.
You know, I run back on the other side on the train line to go catch the other train coming on the other line. I was like,
Yo,
you dying for a number?
I'm telling you, man.
You know, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But we had an interesting conversation tonight, where politics meets entertainment.
Mhm.
Um, I think I think before we wrap up tonight's conversation, I gotta emphasize this whole meeting of political commentators or political players with social media.
Yeah,
Um,
this thing is
that
killing G, man.
is a crazy thing happening in Guyana.
It's killing G.
Um, I haven't seen, for example, Mayor Motley on the marketplace. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I know Market Vendor is one of the big Bajan bloggers or whatever from Barbados. I
Mm.
haven't seen Mayor Motley on his show or on his live. Um, so I haven't seen, for example, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago on some famous TikTokers live from Trinidad. I mean,
That is the thing, right, Malachi? Unless you're campaigning, you don't belong there,
no,
right?
I'm not even
If you're
campaigning.
campaigning, like now we know elections coming up. I would expect to see the persons in charge, President Ali and the opposition, whoever that is, that they on all the radio stations,
Yeah, I
they
expect
hitting all the
ads.
different blogs,
Yeah, I
that
right.
is
I
in
expect ads.
line with them.
Yeah, I expect ads. I expect testimonials. I expect that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Correct.
I don't expect to see the president of the corporate of Republic of Guyana sitting down with a social media person.
No, of course not. You see, there's a difference whereby we have an actual legit platform, right? I think the lowest that the any politician should go, and I don't want to put critics as the lowest, but space wise, I think there's where you should be, right? Because every other media house would have been existing for a couple of years, right? So they kind of have little um they following and everything behind them. But for the
Mm-hmm.
newcomers, I think critics is the last stop.
Yeah,
After you hit every other radio station, you hit
but
critics and
but
round in all your
but
people, and that's it.
but
Anyway, beyond that, don't make sense.
why don't we see, for example, radio stations collectively? This is across the board, having interviews with ministers where
But
persons
who,
in the
Malachi,
audience.
who interviewing them people? You remember, it's already people on radio is untrained. So now you got the artists coming to talk to a minister. That's why I said it have to be aligned. So I don't want to call radio station names, but you can't really go to a party station, right? Or you can't go to a station whereby everybody on the team is kind of incompetent to have no clue what they're talking about. You're gonna be wasting your time.
Because
So
they can't ask questions that will that can actually stimulate real conversations. That's
exactly,
the issue. You understand? And like you rightfully pointed out, we don't have very many trained um, personalities on radio. We
correct. I
have
remember
we have
that comes from overtime experience, right? Just like I went to school and I trained. We don't have anybody else going to school and training really and truly. Or if
Mhm.
they have, it's not much. Anybody coming out to the University of Guyana, you got to question that communications degree.
Well, let me tell you one of the things that myself and Malcolm Ferreira at one point had tried to implement in Guyana. We had set up a program which was called Kids Vibes, which we attempted to, based on how we were trained, how I was trained really. I was able to remember that and to prepare a module, a structure, where we
Mm,
would take children from primary school that were good at reading, but not only good at reading, but being able to project with their voice. In other words, to act with their voices, right? Those are the ones after auditions that we will then take and formally train in, let's say, news presentation, in program presentation, that kind of thing. All right. So that you groom them from a very early age so that you can get them into that personality type that they will then develop based on the guidance. All right. In terms of the format for radio.
So
This is how
they don't have internship no more.
they really what we do in Guyana and
I don't know
call
if they ever had
internship.
internship.
No,
Or
what they
work
call
studies,
what they right. This is what I was gonna say.
call it work
What
studies.
they call it work study. But what happens with work study that I notice, because I've seen people come, I've done work study as a in a being in a private business and at the National Communications Network. And the difference is at the private business, I was teaching some students from UG, voiceover and editing. All right. And with the private, I had to basically break down how each aspect of it works, from the scripting to the direction, all of that goes into how you deliver. With the work study, what you have is more of an apprentice thing where they walk around, they sit around, they may learn the write ups and stuff. But in terms of the formal teaching, that's not happening. But they'll be able
Mm-hmm.
to look on the person who's doing the technical, they can ask some questions. Okay, so what is this about? What is that about? But if they're to ask a presenter now on radio in Guyana, what is the format or what is your station direction? Just one question. There is no presenter on the radio that can answer those questions. And that is where it goes back to what Martin was saying. We don't have trained radio personalities in Guyana. Some of them are trained. For example, Malcolm is a trained radio personality. And when we talk about a radio personality, people get it mixed up with a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A radio personality is, for example, what we do here. This is not a music program where it's part conversation and part music. All right. That's for the radio program in the morning. All right. What we do here is a conversation, which is real radio, because radio is about edifying the population or
Correct.
bringing things to the fore that people in the population would really love to have highlighted. This is what radio is all about. We in Guyana have basically lost the essence of radio and believe that radio is really about a dance. Now, one of the funniest things that I mentioned to people on about radio in Guyana, I said this: if you look at HJ, for example, Hits and Jams has carved out a niche for themselves in the radio spectrum in Guyana by creating a party on radio. That's what it is. I call it the party station. A matter of fact, I was the one who came up with that particular connotation. HJ is the party station of Guyana. All right? That is a given. Okay, that's a niche. That's already taken. You can't go into that niche as another station. What you have to do is to look at this spectrum and say, okay, what is nobody doing on the radio that I can bring? A new thing. No, nobody in Guyana has ever thought of having talk radio.
Political
No,
radio,
exactly. Nobody in
24
Guyana.
hours news radio.
News radio.
There's so much
There
in
is
that
so
little
much
market that you could
in terms of
capitalize on.
that you could do, and you got several. We have so many radio stations, and all of them want to be like one radio station because they can, because they lack the vision. One, they lack the formal direction. Two, and three, they are not willing to take the risk to go out the box. That everybody doing the same thing, come out of the box of that format where everybody trying to be follow the party station, which is already established as the party station.
Plus, keep in mind, you could break down your radio station into genres also. Gospel, hip hop, hits and jams is already the party. So that is a collective of different genres. But how much genres is actually party music? So you have a big demographic that people don't look at. We want to look at, oh, this is nice, like the comfortable, right? Thinking outside of the box. We don't want to think outside of the box because this work for demand is going to work for we too.
While we're saying that, we got to give props to people like, for example, I got to give props to Bobby Vera for carving out a niche for himself as well, because we got to say that Light FM is one of those stations that is oldies and R&B. All right, that has its niche. Own, exactly. That's got its own direction, and that's what we're talking about. Stations in Guyana have to understand that you got to bring something to the table. It's not just about going on there and okay, hey, they got the latest this, they got the latest dancehall, they got the latest pop, they got and they're just pulling from everything. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
It's like back in the days, I could have conked on channel 6 to bring that announcement.
Yeah.
Right? You know for sure. If your family dead, you can find that information across Guyana on channel 6 once you could catch your channel.
Channel 9 too.
Well, all right
channel
then.
9, same thing.
For currently NCN, I think it's channel 11, right?
Yep.
We know we could find Good Morning Guyana on there. But after Guyana Good Morning Guyana,
the Guyana Today Show.
Yeah. Sorry. Guyana Today Show, right? We could find that on there. But after that, what else do we have? When do we find the traffic? When do we find the news? You understand, man? When do we find the politics talk? Elections about to happen.
Well, the funny thing about it, Martin, that you mentioned that, when I heard about the Eyes in the Skies, I was very excited because I was like, okay, this sounds as though, based on the fact that we have this bumper-to-bumper traffic issue in Guyana presently, they're going to be looking. No, exactly. I thought they were going to look at the issue and say, guys, let's take some of that information, because if you got eyes in the skies, you're going to be able to monitor traffic using which road.
Yep.
And you can then relay that information in real time to your headquarters, who would then call into the station in a specific time slot where you have program time, and you come into the station and you say, today's road, or let's call it the road report. All right. Today's road report, if you're coming in from Mandela Avenue from Vicinjon Road, there is tight traffic. It looks like it's going to be tight from around 8 to 8:30. So if you're coming into that vicinity, you can use Hatfield Street. I'm thinking in that perspective, I get this smart.
You better off finding that information on somebody's social media while they cussing out somebody else.
Well, I mean, I know a simple. If you go to Trinidad, they got that going on the radio. If you go to Barbados, that is something I knew used to go on the radio.
In most developed places, they have a system. It's a simple system.
Well, we're talking about islands here, bro. Because I know in the morning report, they used to tell you what was going on the Spring Garden Highway in Barbados. Whether it was bumper to bumper, if you needed to go around, go around. If you're coming out from Black Rock or Christchurch or St. Michael's, wherever you're coming from, they had directions of how you could ease the traffic, relieve yourself from the stress.
Yes.
So we we're only here as people who can provide thought, ideas, things that we think that our population, our government, the opposition should be looking at to develop our country, Guyana, instead of the constant acrimony and Facebook back and forth and the use of people who we know shouldn't even be used because is trash going on. We need to have formal things done. And in order to have that formality, we can give you all some ideas because we know that we're lacking brains. We know we're lacking brains. So we can be here every Tuesday, every now and again when we deal with the issue of politics and entertainment. We're gonna bring up some really good ideas and some pointers which we think that the powers that be, not only the government, but the opposition should also look at them and say, hey, this is a point we could go and make in parliament because this is a point that people need. This is what makes living in Guyana an easier thing. You need price control. You need to be able to give people information in real time and not days after. This is, and people don't even realize this is why the critic is a sensation.
Yep.
The ability to bring the information to you in real time. Because everybody know in America is on demand. You can't tell them, well, bye, you gotta watch this. No, it's on demand. And this is what people don't understand. If something is happening now, people want to see this thing now.
Yes.
They want to see it tomorrow. Because by then the attention span based on what is happening in the world with social media is not. If you get people for an hour or half an hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes is a lot. So you have to be able to deliver quickly. That's the whole idea.
And then also deliver credible information.
Well,
as we've seen, questionable stuff, questionable reports, questionable interviews. And I know it don't make sense. People asking officials questions that a kindergarten could have came up with. There's no merit to it. So all in all, on my closing, we need to do better, right? As a people, we need to do better for ourselves. As I was saying, be greedy. I use your sense. Be greedy for you and selfish for you. And because you're that, everybody's going to benefit automatically. It's a domino effect. Even as you greedy, you can't stop nobody from gaining because another man going to take your idea anyway. You understand me? But be good to yourself. And once you're good to yourself, you're allowing that environment that everybody else is able to breathe. Because if I see you good, I want to be good too.
It's a moral thing. Sherwin? Yeah,
well, I just want to make sure I continue to encourage everyone out there that, there's so many things that can be done. And like the leaders could come up with many things and could try to adapt with many things, but people got to be more open-minded to say, you know what, the faster I adapt to what is going on, it's gonna be easier for me, one, and also it's gonna make me more comfortable. Because when you resist, a lot of times it puts you in a position of depression, or you are actually getting into a place of discomfort, and that causes an issue and an everyday issue. So adapt as fast as you can. It's a world that is changing rapidly, fast, and because of the changes, we have to understand that some of the things that is going on, or we know that is on a everyday basis that we are accustomed to, is not what it is out there. You know what I mean? And with all this crazy AI and all these crazy things, if we continue to try to say, oh, we ain't happy, we can be left behind about 5 times to what it really is. You know what I mean? So
because now we got money, now we got money instead of doing what we do rowing.
Yeah, just gotta adapt fast.
You got money without bargain.
Yeah, without brains. People, we gotta wrap it up. Before we wrap it up for this evening, Sherwin, the disclaimer, please, my bro.
Yeah, once again, the disclaimer, we say The views, information, or opinions expressed during this program is solely those of the host, guests, and callers involved in the program, and do not necessarily represent views of Majestic Music Radio, its management, other hosts, or advertisers. Majestic Music is not responsible and does not verify for the accuracy of any of the information contained in this radio program. This program does not constitute medical or professional advice and is solely for entertainment purpose only.
Yep.
Right.
Ladies and
So-
gentlemen, we'd love to thank you for always tuning into us every Tuesday. We hope that we give you a lot of information, informative information, thought-provoking information as well, where you can think about, what's your part? What could you contribute to your country, wherever you're from, wherever you're listening to us from or stuff. How do you contribute to your country? Because this is how we contribute to our country, by stimulating ideas, by advocating for certain things to happen and for things to move forward in a upward trajectory. That's what we want. But we're thankful to all of you for tuning into us this evening, and tune into us next Tuesday. Make sure tomorrow from 8 to 11 on Majestic Music Radio. Make sure you check us out. Myself and Martin Al-Amin will be on with the Rush Hour. Download the app as well, and stay glued to Majestic. Have a great rest of the evening. Guys,
Yeah,
bless up.
man.
Yes, sir.
Peace, bless.
Peace
Mhm.
out, brothers. Y'all be safe, man.
man.
Listeners, enjoy y'all night.
Yep. Good night.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.